Well-functioning teams are at the heart of collaboration. There are many ways to create student teams. How we form these teams is very important. So this animation takes you through 9 teaming techniques that you can use with your students. Affinity teams or groups are made up of students who are interested in the same topics or who share a common interest. The plus side of affinity groups is they bring together students who share a passion. The downside is that students get exposed to a very narrow range of interests and viewpoints. Compatibility teams are teams comprised of 3 to 4 students whose personalities allow them to work together well. The plus side is that temperamentally students should get along. The minus side is that students don't learn how to deal with conflict or different ideas or different personalities. We could divide students up without thinking about it. For example, you 4 work together and you 4 work together. We call this convenience teaming. The plus side is convenience teaming is easy for teachers. The minus is that it may create all sorts of problems when the activity is being carried out. For example, what if one group gets all the best students and another gets all the weakest students? Diversity teaming, or heterogeneous grouping as it's sometimes known, are teams of students with different interests or who normally don't work together. Students are heterogeneous or diverse in terms of their interests, their backgrounds, or their personalities. The plus side is that students are exposed to people with different interests or backgrounds. The minus is that the lack of common interests may sometimes make it difficult for teams to gel. Equivalence teaming, or homogeneous teaming as it's sometimes known, involves putting together students of the same abilities, strongest students together, weakest students together. The plus side is that it can help weak students figure things out for themselves instead of relying all the time on the strong students to do everything. The minus side is that strong teams get stronger and weak teams get weaker. With expert novice teaming, you have one strong student who helps a weaker student. This is a form of student tutoring. Expert novice teaming works best with pairs. The plus side of expert novice teams is that it benefits the student being tutored and the one who's doing the teaching or tutoring. But the minus side is that it can make both students feel a little bit self-conscious. Mixed ability teams are composed of students with different abilities. Strong students, medium students, and weak students. Like diversity teams, this is another type of heterogeneous teaming. Mixed ability teaming often helps weaker students who may benefit from interacting with higher ability classmates, but it can sometimes make a weaker performing student feel self-conscious about his or her struggle in a particular subject area. Tiered teams work best with teams of 3. Tiered teams involve a very strong student, a medium ability student, and a weaker student. The plus side of tiered teams is that you have academic diversity. The downside of tiered teams is really the downside that you experience with all teams of 3. 2 students may form a bond and marginalize or isolate the third student. Finally, you can form teams randomly. Everyone gets a number 1 to 5. All 1s are one team, all 2s are another team, etc. The plus side of random teaming is because it's random, we might actually get teams with abilities that actually reflect the overall ability of students in our class. The downside is that we might not. In Module 2, you wrote an essential question and you sketched out a project-based activity for this essential question. Now, which teaming strategy should you use to form teams for this activity?